So in this test we will be checking to see if there is a bad servo motor or servo cable going to the motor, specifically the power cable. So to do this test, you will need to look at the X2 connector on any one of these amps. Every amp has one. They vary between green or black, but every amplifier has one. So you will undo that connector and it will look like this. You will need a voltmeter. I am going to turn this voltmeter to ohms. And then I'm going to take my 2 leads. So if you look on this connector, you will see a PE, a U, a V, and a W. Your PE is going to be your ground circuit. So we're going to be testing between PE to U, PE to V, and PE to W. We should read OL on all of these tests. So if I read PE to U, OL. If I read PU to V, OL. PE to W, OL as well. So after that, we are going to be checking the wires going out to the motor. So you have a U, V, and a W. So I'm going to test U to V, U to W, and V to W. So let's start U to V. And we get 2.2, U to W, 2.2, and V to W, 2.2. So the last 3 readings that you take between U, V, and W, you should be within 10% of each other basically. So what we're looking at here, we took our PE to U reading, we got OL. PE to V reading, we got OL. PE to W reading, we got OL. And then if we move on to the next test, we got U to V, 2.2. U to W, 2.2, V to W, 2.2. So if you come down here, so these are the values we should be reading. So this tells us it is a good motor and cable. So from PE to U, V, and W, you should be reading OL. From UV, U to W, V to W, you should be reading within 10% of each other. So if any of these tests indicates a failure, that means we either have a bad cable or motor. So what we would do at that point is you could disconnect the cable from the motor. You can test it at that same connector to test the cable. And then you can also test it at the actual motor, which we'll be showing you here in a second. So now we are going to be testing the actual motor. I took this motor off of the machine, but you don't have to disconnect the motor from the machine to do this test. You can just unplug the wire and do the test. It will make no difference. So if you look here, you have 4 wires. So this is our PE wire. So that's PE. Then we have U, V, and W. So we're going to do the same thing that we did at the amplifier, on the amplifier connection right here. So we'll go PE to U, then we go PE to V, and then PE to W. And we read OL on all of those. So now we're going to do U to V. And we read 0.7, U to W, 0.6, and then V to W, 0.6. So although the first one was 0.7, we're still within 10%. So that does show that this motor is good. So if we've determined that the motor is good, but we have a bad wire, we can actually go to the bulkhead connection and do the same test that we did at the amplifier. The connector will look just like this one, but it will be sockets instead of pins. And we can test it there. That way we can distinguish whether it's outside the box that is bad or the internal amplifier wire that is bad.